Welcome to Business Reporter at the Telegraph Studios. I'm Louise People, and today I'm joined by Charlie Bruin, Chief Executive of Liberator. And we're discussing how to make public services more cost-effective in times of austerity. Charlie, hi.
Hi, Louise.
So Charlie, how could the government approach this problem differently, and how could the government save money?
Some of the approaches that could be really effective are actually some of the most obvious. One of the approaches that we really encourage government to do is to look to the solutions that already exist both inside the public sector today and indeed inside the private sector. Two examples that we deliver to government today include the detection of fraud and error within local authority services like housing benefit, and also the handling of payments and receipts within large agencies, specifically the Courts and Tribunal Service. We think both of those solutions could save money across wider government if deployed more widely.
When the government involve the private sector and they outsource service delivery, this can often bring about resentment and redundancies. How do they go about this without creating even further costs?
In my experience of working with the public sector, one of the most important foundations or tenets of working with customers is one of trust, and also that we're going to look after the employees that we inherit when people transfer from the public sector to firms like Liberator as part of an outsourcing arrangement. Our promise to our public sector clients is to ensure that employees, when they move to the private sector, have career opportunities available to them that they wouldn't otherwise have had working in the public sector, as well as being part of a private sector firm and delivering a great service for public sector clients.
So we're talking about relationships. What are the most important features of the public versus private sector?
Well, despite it being a contractual arrangement between private and public sector, one of the most important features are actually the personal relationships. When we undertake business for a 5 or a 10-year term, it's incredibly important that both myself and my team members undertake that work on the basis that they are absolutely going to be the team that is still around in 5 and 10 years' time, delivering those services and absolutely delivering on the promises that we make at the start of a contract relationship. Those relationships will be drawn on both in the good times when services go well, but inevitably in services when things don't go so well. It's really important that those personal relationships are strong.
Now, can I move on to automation? How automation can help?
Automation is really about freeing skilled and talented people from bureaucratic processes. To give you an example, with one of my clients today, the Courts and Tribunal Service, one of the most important things that happens within the court service to start the process, i.e. to start the journey from either individuals or businesses gaining access to justice, is they need to remit monies to the court service in order that the process begins. To humanize it, there is somebody in every court that will be receiving that money from the individual or the business at the start of that process. And their task, their job is to make sure, number one, that the fee is for the correct amount, because there are many different types of fees and many different fee amounts, so it's something that can go wrong. And also that those monies end up in the correct bank account, and that the data that's recorded within the internal court systems matches or reconciles with what's in the bank account.
Sounds straightforward.
It's straightforward, but it's also a very manually intensive exercise. If you consider Janet working in one court, there are over 300 courts across England and Wales, and there are many millions of fee transactions that happen every year. So if we take Janet across 300 courts for 250 days a year, that's an incredible amount of manual effort required to do something, as you say, that's quite straightforward, to receive and to check that a fee amount is correct. For Janet, it's not a particularly fulfilling task. It's not a particularly fulfilling part of her job. And so automation, where automation can help, is that it takes those two activities, one of receiving money and secondly of reconciling that to monies that are in the bank account, and automating them. So what that does is it means that Janet doesn't have to spend her day checking fee amounts. She doesn't have to spend her day or the end of the week or the end of the month reconciling long columns of figures from internal systems to bank account statements. She can actually focus on meaningful work. She can focus where the process has gone wrong, for whatever reason, in ensuring that that fee is correctly remitted so the court case or the access to justice, the journey to access to justice can start for the individual or for the business.
I understand that, but is the solution only about technology?
It's not just about technology. It's also about skilled people like Janet. It's about the process that they follow. And it's also about the data they have access to in order to make sure that everything works well and the public service is of the quality that is expected by users of the court service.
Well, it's been fantastic learning all about Liberator today. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Louise.